Greetings, my name's Dwayne, and over the years, I've made a number of what I call keychain gnomes, little gnomes that I've attached to either a clip or a keychain ring to for backpacks or just a keychain ideal. And I've never really posted a pattern. People have asked me for years to do something as that they can make something along the similar line. But the problem I've always had is I've made them out of cones. And the cones are anywhere from like 1.5 inch to 2 inch long. And my suppliers never seem to carry them the next time I want them. So I usually order in bulk. So I have them for a while. But then when I go back to order more, I have to come up with a different size, change the pattern around a little bit to make them fit. So I've never put out a pattern because I didn't think it was right to put something out that people would have a hard time coming up with the same size cones to go along with the pattern. So I changed the pattern up. And now I have come out with a pattern that uses a felt body. So I can build something now with a felt body. Now with that idea too, I didn't want to keep the same thing in mind. And I wanted something, when I think of a keychain, just a little bit smaller, something that might be able to use for the fun of it. And so I came up with a different idea to make a gnome keychain. Little thing that came to me was more looking like a woodland gnome. I've always liked my woodland gnomes. I've always liked the colors in there, the browns, the greens, the dark reds and everything. So let's throw those ones with the cones aside. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to make a gnome with a felt body. And I incorporated the coat and the pants along with that. So you have a couple different things there. I'm going to show you a couple different ideas throughout here too, how to make them, do different things, little tricks to them and all that. But it all starts with doing the same type of felt body that I've done in the past, where I've cut out my pattern. And this is nice and neat because they're small little gnomes. We can use a lot of little scraps, your leftovers. And basically I pick out 4 colors. I want to do one color for the body. And I picked out something just a neutral brown. And again, I'm using just my scraps of my felt. And I'm using not the more expensive felt. I found the more expensive felt actually is just a little bit too tough. It's a stiffer, and you're going to be doing a lot of turning things inside out of small things. So I'm using the less expensive felt to do this. Material-wise, I also use some wool to do it too. I like the wool. It gives a lot of different texture to it and gives me about the same characteristics there as I have with the felt. But I wanted to have something that would be easy for everybody to get a hold of. And this is the felt, your scraps, easy to get a hold of, easy to have. This can be my body. And then I cut out a circular base. I'm going to grab one here. And we're going to sew it together. And this is the same way as I do most of my other felt bodies. If you've seen any of my other videos, I'm going to have a felt body. We're going to sew, start from the top. We're just going to have like a 1-inch open at the top here. We're not going to sew the opening there. We're going to sew down the side. Let me flip it over here. I'm used to going in my one direction here. And if you machine sew, you can just machine sew right down that side there. We'll get our body together here. And then we just open that up, the base, the bottom of it there. And we attach our circular base. Go right through there, line it up. And we just follow it all the way around. So I'll give you an idea here. You just go all the way around. Then what we're going to want to do is through the top, we're going to these are smaller items, like I said, so they take a little bit of time, a little bit of finesse here. Just pull it through, turn it inside out, and we have our body there. Now the body we are going to fill with a polyfill. I'm not using anything as far as rocks or pebbles or anything down in there. It's a small item, so we're going to take some of our polyfill. And just fill it up here. And then here's where, again, you can just glue the top shut or sew it shut. Either way, we're just trying to seal that off there. And that'll give us our body. Run this through here. Now the body is only about 2.5 inches tall. It's a small body there, but it replaces the cones. I don't have to find a certain cone, certain width of the base, certain height. Gives me my whole body, therefore my gnome. Of course, the next thing then would be to come up with the rest of the idea for him, and that's going to be the pants. I actually built these guys a lot like the denim gnomes that I did. I came up with the idea of let's make some pants for him and a little coat. First one I did, actually I used just a body and then did the same color for the arms and then said, okay, let's go a little bit farther and make a coat. So you can incorporate in and do either style with that. This way the coat, I like the coat that covers the back of the bottom there. Gives a nice, neat look there. But that was something I came up with, said, okay, I have a couple different ideas I can do. Let's do one with a coat, one without a coat. So you have a variety of little different things you can do there. So the pants, I've cut out my pattern, and you'll find it is the same. It's just a miniaturized version of my blue jean gnomes. So this is one of my blue jean guys, and these are the pants, the denim. And you could give you a little picture here as far as size difference here. This is another guy that I'm working on here. Give you an idea. So, and I'm giving him an open coat too, versus this coat that I did with the denim, with a closed coat here. I wanted to give him something that was, so I could see the body. So I opened that up and did that, but we'll get to that in a moment here. So the pants, I've cut out my pattern. Now, when I draw it out, I sometimes have these lines that show. So I put them so I know they're going to be on the inside because I'm going to be turning it inside out. So the lines I'm going to show over here, I'm going to show on the back side, but that's fine because it could be on the inside of the gnome. And here again, pick out a needle and thread. I'm going to sew up the side. Fun thing is these are so little, the sewing gets done so quickly too. So you can get together putting your gnome together in no time. And I go through that a couple times there. And I sew up a side. Then what I do is sew around the inner legs there, the crotch area there, sew inside there, and then sew up the other side. I'm leaving this open up here. I'm leaving the legs open down there. Let's see if I got one here. Show you here. So this is opened up in my legs and my body up here. So I'm just sewing the sides and there. And then turning that inside out. This is where I get those lines now to go inside. I turn that inside out. So I have my little legs sticking out down here. And there I've made my pants. Just as simple as that. Got my pants there. You'll see now the lines on this side. We're going to do just like I did with the denim gnomes. If you've seen that video, we're going to put that on there. This is going to come up. The front is going to come up here about a 1/4 inch on the body. I have the seam to the body facing forward here because I'm going to be covering that with the beard. And then what I want is the back side, the butt of the body there. I want the V shape right at the very back there. That I'm going to pull right up to the side here. That's a nice thing about the materials too here with the felt. You have some little play, little give type of thing that you can move, push it in a little bit, move it around. And we're going to bring that together right up here and glue that to the back. Now when I do glue, give you a little tip here. And grab the hot glue gun here. I'm going to glue inside a little ways. I'm not going to glue right to the very edge. That glue will spread with it being so small. Plus, I want something to grab onto here. I don't want to get that glue all up in my fingers, and I want to have something to grab onto to pull. So I can pull it around and put it down. Makes it so much easier. Not getting that hot glue all over my fingers and making it easier not so it doesn't show. Then I'm going to pull the other side up and bring it right over top, right to the top there. Nice little crease, and we're going to do the same thing. Open that up right there. Put some glue, make sure I'm down a little bit where I can grab that tip there. Pull it right up to it. Now this seam is going to be behind the coat when you put a coat on there, so you're not going to even see that seam unless you want to do just the body without the coat. Now this is going to be, this is a little bit more complicated, so I don't consider this really a beginner's project, but you can, the first person can do it as a beginner's project. And you can do it without the pants too, I can tell you. You can really, if you want to do something as just a ornament or a clip, keychain, I plan on doing these more as ornaments too. And this is the point at the very bottom there that I fold up and glue that on there. As I said, I've made it before where I've tried doing a pattern that I didn't have that little fold up there, and I didn't like how the bottom wouldn't round. So I got that up there. And as I just said, you can make something and do it without the pants. If you want to build him and do him without a pants, this is an ornament that I made just again experimenting, trying to come up with different ideas. So I can do either the body and come up with an ornament. You also could do him a keychain if you want. If you wanted to incorporate the keychain into the hat, we'll show you how to do that in just a moment here as we're building him here. But if you didn't want to, if you felt like you didn't want to do the pants, do this as a gnome. You can go with that too. So trying to give you a couple different ideas there, how to build them, how to do different things with him. We got our legs sticking down here. Now I put the beard on next. The beard, most of mine are going to be woodland beards, so I'm going to try something with a brown into it. I'm also using, this is called a long pile beard, and it's an inch across. Down here, I either use a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, depending on how long I want my beard to come down. And I'm going to glue that right to the top there. You're going to see how it comes down, covers the top there, comes all the way down to my legs there. We're going to take the glue gun, glue that right on. And right at the very top, right where it comes together, right where my seam is, I'm going to glue that beard down. Now I used a shorter pile Also, I like that. I used a shorter pile for this one here so I could show more of the front of the pants. I opened that up too before I put the coat on and just put this leather strap, glued that little leather strap across there as a belt. So it's going just little ideas there, and the short pile looks great, works great. And I'll probably do a few more with the short pile too versus the longer there. And again, just trying to give you ideas, different things you can do, different ways you can build your gnome. So we have some fun going on there. My coat, I chose to use a green coat for this little guy here. Cut that out. The coat just wraps around. So I start from the back, wrap around, and what I want is just my little triangle come down here. And I want to cover the back just to the very bottom there of the coat. And so the top should come up right about to the top of the back there. We're just going to fold the top down. And this holds it in place. So I glue just the very top there. Glue that down. Now, here's where if I wanted to put a belt on, I would lift the beard up. I've already got the coat in place. Before I glue the coat flaps down, I would put it across, right across the middle there, or just the top of that. I'm not going to put a belt on this guy here. You can see how the coat comes to the side of the beard there. Once I have that attached up there, open this up, get my beard out of the way. And we're going to glue some strings off of there. Glue along the edge here, and then glue along the bottom there for my coat. Now again, I don't want to glue all the way to the edge. It's going to spread a little bit, but I want that openness of the coat. Little openness of the coat there in the front too. Just to look to it. I did use a suede on one of them. And the reason I used the suede was because it had a backing to it. I actually used off a coat, this is an example. But the suede was a thinner material. So it gave it a little bit of backing there. But with it being a thinner material, it was a little bit harder to use, work with. So again, ideas of different things you can use as far as materials. I like the wool. I like the felt. And to give it a basic start, to teach people how to do it, I would recommend using the felt. It's easier to find too. And as I said, I used 4 different colors with these gnomes. And you don't have to. If you want to use something where you're using the coat, the hat, everything else the same color, that's fine too. I just tried to do something where I got the body one color, my pants, just so they show off. It's nice to see. Here's a wool one that I did. So you have a different color pants, hat, coat. You can see it all there. I added the trim on the coat. Also with this coat, I actually rounded my edges there. Again, just little things, nothing that you have to do or anything, but just little ideas that once you start making them, learn the basics. Learn how to do it, learn, just the quick little tricks, what you need to do, and then go from there. Add the little things to the sides, you can even add little buttons if you want. Just little things to it to make it your gnome, to give it a little bit more character. That's what I look to do. From here, I got my coat glued down. My arms, again, my arms are going to be the same color as the coat. So I pick out my green here. I made my arm. Again, it's going to be a folded over pattern there. If you've done any of my patterns, I do a lot of the fold over stuff when I cut it. And then we just sew right up the side. And again, this is not much different than any of my other gnomes, my woodland wizards, my angels. If anybody recently have seen those or have done those, the arms are going to be very similar. The only thing is the size. Just a little bit different in size. Oh, and I made these. This is where I'm going to have to get to the point here too to tell you about the balls that I use to do, with these, because I am using wood balls to make the nose, the arms, and the feet. The feet actually is the same size ball, so I actually got use 5 of the same size 1/2 inch wood balls. We got our arm sewed together there. And again, we take the wide part and we turn that inside out. Grab another one here. So we got it turned inside out. We got our seam right there. I open that up. And as I said, I'm using the 1/2 inch wood balls. I get these from Hobby Lobby. Again, if you have a problem getting something like the wood balls, I would recommend pom-poms. I have a number of pom-poms that are the same size as these. And the gnome's going to require 5 of them. 1 for the nose, the 2 hands, and the feet. Now, I probably should have mentioned before, I paint these black. I paint them black. It could be a dark brown. I want my feet to look like shoes. So I paint those ahead of time and I let them dry. But you're using, again, the 1/2 inch wood balls. I take out and I paint about a half dozen of them at a time. That way I have them available to do with the other gnomes. And that way when I get to the point, they're dry to put in there. So that's the one thing that you'll have to do ahead of time is paint some black balls to put in there for the feet there. And then I glue just inside my arm. Put my little wood ball in there. The other thing is too, check your wood balls before you put them on. If there's like a little blemish or a little scuff or something like that, or a mark where they were manufacture them, I like to make sure I put that on the inside. One of my first ones that I didn't notice when I went to put it on the nose, and it was all scuffed up on the front side of it, and I had to actually surgically remove the nose and put another one on. So yeah, there are going to be blemishes. They're not going to be perfect, unfortunately. And then the arms, again with the thin side, I'm going to attach just at the corner of the beard there and the coat. And just put a little bit. I don't want a lot of stuff hanging out there, a lot of glue. So I'm just putting a little dab on there. We're going to glue that just down to the side. Fun part is so much of this is just like making one of my other regular gnomes. Gone back to more of the felt body and then adding the pants to it. The pants are a great little character thing to it. But if you find that you're having a hard time with the smaller items, as I said, just make it just a simple gnomes. Just a simple body with the arms. Put my other arm on. And again, I'm gluing where the seam is. I want my seam on the inside, facing towards the gnome body. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I like to cover up the seams as much as possible. Cover up seams. Don't want them to show. I mean, the pants look nice. I like how the pants come out because they look like a regular, almost like a blue jean denim, type look, the pant look with the seams on the side there. So that I have and I get away with. So we've built our gnome, basically. We got our body together. We got our arms on there. The big thing is now the hat, the keychain part of it. Very simple part to that. And again, if you want to do a keychain or a clip, They are available. There's tons of different places on Amazon. You can order them through other suppliers, art craft stores, Temu, if you want to go that route. You can get them through there. My hat, let's grab one here. Again, I'm using my fold over pattern, cut it out, and then I'm taking a keychain. Now, some of them will have a big ring on the bottom of them. I use the ones that don't, or I remove that big ring. I want just the same size links in there. And what I found too is, in order to get it started, I'll open up my hat and I'll lay it down and put it right up to the tip of the hat there. And I'm going to sew through that a couple times. I'm going to sew through my ring. And then down on the outside of the ring. And I only want to sew through the top ring. So that's where I have to be a little bit careful when I'm sewing down the sides there. And I do this again, like I said, 2 or 3 times just to get it anchored on there before I fold my ring in there. Now, again, what I want to do is I want to have my ring inside, and I want it to be back towards the crease there, my fold, so I'm not sewing on the chain. And then I'd usually pretty much sew the heck out of this here. I want to sew it a good 3 or 4, 5, 6 times, however many times I feel I want it to be sturdy, because this is where the weight's going to be. This is where, if somebody is using it or pulling on it, I don't want to have it come undone. And I sew it right into there. And I'll show you in a moment here a little trick I do too. And I always feel bad when I forget to say something in order too here, because this is something that we're going to need to prep beforehand too. Just to let you know too, I'm not sewing all the way down. What I'm doing is, this is about 1.25 inches. This is where the front is going to be. So I want it to be across from that. So a little trick too that I learned, I mean, I usually just visually look at it. I'll take out my ruler and I'll mark 1.25 inches. Just go right up the side. So right about 1.25 inches there. That's to remind me that that's how far I want to sew. I don't want to sew down any farther than that. Reason being, and here's a little tip here, if you go down too far, the hat won't fit correctly on the back. You'll have something that sticks out, or it'll be really tough to pull down over the body. So I want to do that little mark there, about 1.25 inches up. So it's about right across from the base, from the front there. Now I want to sew down so I'm not hitting my chain in there. I'm holding the chain basically as I'm doing it. I'm pinching it there. And I'm going to sew down to that mark. So that's a tip I found that, I use. I've started using. I was just doing the sewing myself, and then I got aggravated because at times I would just keep sewing, or I would sew too far down and it wouldn't fit quite right. So when you're putting the hat together, measure up that 1.25 inches from that curve there to the spot right there. Just put a little mark. It's not going to show. It's going to be on the inside of the hat, and that's where I'm going to stop my needle and thread. Yeah, go through a few times here before I knot it off here. Cut you off there. There we go. And there I have my hat. Now the only thing with the hat is just pulling it inside out. Now before I do that, got my chain in there, turning inside out, I add just, again, a little bit more security. I put just a dab of glue right at the top. And it's obvious why, is because that's giving it support. This is where I'm going to pull on my chain. This is where I want to have the most support for it. Before I do anything else, I'm going to put a little bit of glue up top there, give it just a moment to dry. And then once we're all dry there, turn my hat inside out, and I can use the chain to help give it a pull. And see, by not putting a thread through the other chain links there, and there we got our hat. Beautiful. I like how this one came out. Nicely done, pulled through. The other option, as I said, if you want to do this, but do it more as an ornament, I like the idea of it coming up as an ornament. I'm using the same thing. I'm doing a hat, and then I'm doing a ribbon. Ribbon, string, however you want. I do it about 12 inches long. I tie it off together there. And then just like if you've done my angel ornaments, I'm going to lay it down right in the center there. And then I'm going to sew it down the side. Just as I did the other one, I'm going to measure off my 1.25 inches, sew right down the side, then pull it on through. And that'll give me my nice little ornament look there too. So I can do this as a keychain or an ornament. I think it'd be a cute little ornament. So I'm going to try this and do a few like that too. This is a wool that I've used. I love the patterning in that. So just again, some little variety there, little choices that you can do. So with my hat, I am going to do a little bit of stuffing up in there. I don't know about you, but it does excite me to have different variety ideas, different things that you can do along the same line, but just vary it just a little bit so you can get different gnomes out of it. You can change the pattern around just a little bit there to come up with something different. Now, I put some stuffing up in there. Putting this hat on, as you've seen in some of my other videos, normally what I'll do is then glue on the back. Lift this up, glue the back. On this one, I do the front. I've designed this so this comes down just to the top of the beard. And I want to glue just across the front here to make sure. I don't want to glue the back and then find out I've put it up too high or a little bit too low for it to meet the spot, right there at the beard there. So that's going to be my first thing to do, is to glue the front and get that on right at the top of the beard there. Run my glue again, just the top of the arm, top of the beard, right up top there, and hold this in here and bring that down. Now you might have to pinch it just a little bit to make sure we're just right there, just over the top of the beard. Nice snug fit. And that's why I'd rather make sure I got that first than try to finagle it or work with it in the back. Again, the felt. It's nice having a felt too, that you have the stuffing in. You can squeeze it around a little bit too. Also, if you want it to sit up, you can make your gnome sit up by just squeezing a little bit there too. I'm more concerned with it just being something fun like that, but we're working without the cone there. Once I've got that glue where it's set and dry, I grab another one of my little 1/2-inch wood balls. And I'm just gluing that on. See, this one's got some blemishes into it. I look at that and it's like, I'm not liking that. Actually, I'm going to grab a different wood ball because I'm not liking some of the nicks in that. So let's see if we can find a little better one here. Again, keeping the eye on little things here. And we look a lot better on that one there. This one's going to find a home someplace else. And with that, we're just going to put a little dab. I don't want a lot. I don't want it seeping out or anything. So I'm just going to put a little dab on there for my nose. Yeah, just as you would expect, right in the center there. Right below my beard there. Now the beard, I've tried a couple different beards too. As I said, I like my Woodland Gnomes, the woodsy look. So I go with a brown here. I am working on one I'm gonna do this one more as an ornament. I decided I was gonna put a white beard into him, put a hat on him. I think he's gonna look real cute too. Gave him more of a blue jean pant look with the suede coat there. So a little bit of variety, a little bit of different texture there. I used a velvet too. I had a green velvet, crushed green velvet that I used on this character. Really liked the material, and I used it because it had a backing to it. A lot of my velvet material doesn't have the backing to it, so it's not as stiff to work with. So keep that in mind if you are looking at different materials to work with. Again, the felt, nice and easy to work with. I got my nose glued on there, and then I'll go back and I'll roll up my hat in the back just a little bit, just so I can secure it down. Thin little line across the back there. Roll that down. There I have my hat. Got my beard, as I said, long pile, short pile, however you want. I tried a curly. Tried to use my curly faux fur, and it was more of a thin, didn't work, really. Maybe there's other ones out there, but the curly ones I had just didn't quite work, the size. Cutting the backing off and everything just didn't make it on these ones here. So keep that in mind too when you're looking at that. I think it would be cute look to it, but it just didn't work. It came out real too thin. So now like I said, I've painted my black balls there for the feet. Open this up just a little bit. I don't want to really stomp in there too hard and everything, but let me find one of my, there we go. And we're going to put that just inside the opening there. Let me move my beard out of the way here. Don't want to get any glue into that. And then just in our little opening there, we're going to glue the inside. Same thing like we did with the arms, just around the edge. Put some glue right in there. And then set our little foot, our little shoe, however you want to call it, right in the middle there. Same thing with here. Now I don't try to poke down too far because I want to still have that crease in my pants there. Make it look like he's sitting. Grab another one of my black painted balls here. Glue the inside. Just around the edges, trying to make sure I don't get the outside the edges there. And this is where you might have to have a little practice to get that to look just perfect. Yeah, I like the windblown look too. That's pretty cool. But we're going to bring that down along here. We got our gnome. This is my keychain gnome. I had fun creating something different. Going from what I used to make was just this type of gnome. And I thought, well, I'm more known for, I think, my woodland gnomes. I think they're very cute. They're very nice little shaped and everything with that, including the coat, the pants, the hat, everything. Now from here, this is however you want to decorate. I always feel like the hat gives me just an area there to play with. I can also do things as far as adding little items here too to accessorize. Now with this being a keychain though, I didn't want to put a lot of things on here that had a chance of knocking off or anything. But if I'm going to be doing it as an ornament, I'm going to do some Halloween ones too, where I put little pumpkins in, where they're holding little pumpkins. I have an idea for a Christmas one where I'm going to have them holding snowflakes or little snowflakes on the hat. But with these ones, what I did was just went ahead and did little felt patches, little things on the hat that I know if somebody is going to use this like a backpack clip or as a keychain, it's not something that's going to bump into something and come out. Yeah, we're going to have the wood balls there for the nose and the arms and everything, but I'm not going to have a lot of accessories on them, things that could possibly fall off. But you can also add like the little items like the belt, the trim on the coat, even a trim around the hat if you wanted to try that. Give it a trim, try that. But so I kept this simple. But I am going to be making some that will have little accessories. Like I said, the little pumpkins to them, little Halloween stuff added to it, just for the fun of it. Nobody says you can't do that. But I would do something, like I said, just to decorate the hat just a little bit more. But other than that, I got my gnome here. I've built this guy. It looks great. It's got the keychain. As I said, you can actually get clips too if you want to put a clip in there, or do it as an ornament. Give you something there for holiday ideas there too. So this is what I call my Woodland Gnome keychain pattern, and I will have that available to you. Thank you.